Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de in case all the worst things happen in the good old US of A, do you need an exit strategy in the form of someplace else to run to? And more specifically, should this someplace else be internationally? Hey, XenPuck here. Obviously these days I have so few worries that it's kind of scary, but alas, as I've gotten into the upper middle class safely, I think, and possibly beyond, well, my concerns simply have evolved to fit my station, right? And these days, with the political tensions in the US flaring, often I read about how, people want to leave, right? And that led me to today's topic. Do I want to leave, right? And if so, where? Does it actually have to be running away from the entirety of the US? Would I ever become one of those people who gives up their citizenship because of our US government's insistence on taxing citizens no matter where in the world they spend their time? Well, today I'll give my answer, and frankly would love to hear from other people, as to their own thoughts on this subject, right? So point one, right? I really need to repeat because I repeat this point really because I am proud of the statement, which is that I love the US, right? I would never ever give up my citizenship because I am already a first-generation immigrant, and my God, it is a pain in the butt to get into the US to begin with. I mean, I can understand that there are other people who's from this beautiful country who's disillusioned with it and wants to get away. Maybe it's due to the shifting cultural tone, maybe it's due to the reach of the US taxman. But for me personally, none of that is enough to give up the US passport, honestly, right? There's a reason that a tremendous amount of people all around the world wants to come to the US, and despite what Americans say, no significant number has left after any questionable president has come into office, okay? At either side of the political spectrum, let me just be clear. I mean, after all, most of the time all you had to do is just wait out the 4 years. Let me be clear. American presidents simply aren't dictators, and therefore their powers are not that great within the context of how world leaders work, all right? So things will be fine, right? I trust the institutions of this great nation. I mean, how can I not? It is in this environment, after all, that I made my fortune, right? That allowed me to achieve in about 15 years what it takes most people in other parts of the world lifetimes, if not generations, okay? Yeah, I said generations. Plus, this country doesn't have the ridiculous hierarchical class system that so much of the old world has, right? And that's simply something that's almost irreplaceable. Now, point number two. Now that we've gotten my stance on the US out of the way, do we still need a plan B in case you're feeling the locality of your situation going wrong, right? Here, my actual answer is yes. The difference is that I feel like most people forget that the USA is a very, very large country. So my exit strategy, at the baseline level, doesn't necessarily have to be a different country. Could just be a different state, okay? I mean, maybe I'm saying this right now because I live in Texas, a very red state, and sometimes the state level political decision making is, seems very suspect to me, right? However, the state is still connected to many others, all right? Frankly, between wifey and I, we have connections to 2 other states right now already, okay? So we can easily move about to a relatively more progressive set of rules within even like a 1 day's worth of driving, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, we live in a very blue city in this very red state. And frankly, we're pretty insulated from the worst itches of the conservative resurgence, shall we call it, right? And we do still love Texas as an idea of independence and self-reliance, right? In a way, what I just said about the US, I also mean on a smaller scale towards the state of Texas. After all, we chose the state to make our home base, and I am very, very stubborn, and it'll really take a lot for me to entirely rethink whether I need to permanently relocate even to another locality, and we are nowhere there, even on the state level. So point number 3, finally. So does what I have just said mean that an international strategy is out of the question? Of course not. I am, at a basic level, a planner, right? Just because we already have some level of possibilities to exit to other states doesn't mean that I haven't considered and researched to a moderate degree at least the international strategy. After all, why wouldn't I want to have backup plans, 2 backup plans? I know I prepare like this for plenty of situations, and that's how I can stay very even-keeled and calm in most situations. I've already laid the seeds with the wifey as to where we can go to, right? Mexico if she doesn't want to go far, Malaysia if she wants the best value, and Malta if she wants to be in the center of Europe while not being forced to learn a new language immediately. I mean, all of these destinations have their flaws, obviously, right? There's no such thing as a perfect place. Maybe wifey wouldn't feel safe, in some parts of Mexico. Maybe she wouldn't want to be a minority in Malaysia, and maybe Malta's second passport program, very expensive upfront costs would deter us, right? These are just some weak points that I can think of on the top of my head. But my main point remains, right? The world is a big, big place, and looking for international getaway kind of reminds me of like house hunting in a lot of ways, right? There's literally no single spot that's ever going to be perfect, but we do have choices still, right? And we really just need to be intentional and figure out what qualities are truly a priority to us, right? And just like picking a house, once we do pick a place to move to, learn to love it even with its faults. So, in conclusion, honestly, I think we'll always have a home base in the US because I love Waffle House and Arby's and vintage-style diners, and those just don't really exist outside of the curious, sphere of North American culture, right? Plus, let's be clear, our families are here, and very few people can really claim that they're totally fine by themselves, right? Family and community means a lot, and hey, the US is large enough. If I really wanted to avoid seeing people, I mean, hey, we do live in Texas, and that is quite a drive from pretty much all of the most densely populated areas that, my folks live in. Coincidence? Oh boy. Anyway, I was already an immigrant to the United States of America, right? So I am probably one of the least moving out of the US person that I know. Because I mean, hey, my life has worked out really well so far. So I see any other potential move to be even more of an adventure, but not a necessity, right? That's easy for me to say because, I'm already retired as well, right? So maybe I can't really represent too many people in the population. Just speak from my own perspective. So what about you guys? Where do you dream to move to, if anywhere? In the United States? Or the land of your origin? Or out? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and all that social media buzzwords. All right? Cheers. I'll approach it.